Hello guys, my name is Victor Bloodstone. Today I will be telling you guys about 4 original, creepy and disturbing stories happened in Snowstorm. So let's get started. Story 1. The Frozen Echo. The snowstorm hit our small mountain town with a ferocity that left us unprepared. I found myself stranded in my remote cabin, the relentless snowfall obscuring the familiar landscape. The isolation was eerie, the only sounds the howling wind and the muffled echo of snow against the windows. As the hours turned into days, the power went out, leaving me in a cold, dimly lit cabin. I rationed my supplies and huddled near the fireplace, the flames offering the only solace against the biting cold outside. One evening, as the storm reached its zenith, a peculiar sound echoed through the silence, a soft tapping on the window. I approached cautiously, my breath creating ghostly fog on the glass. What I saw froze my blood. A figure, barely discernible through the snow-laden windowpane. A woman stood outside, her clothes caked with ice, her eyes hollow and lifeless. She beckoned for me to open the door, her voice carried away by the wind. Fear gripped me, but a strange compulsion led me to unbolt the door. As the door creaked open, a gust of icy wind invaded the cabin. The woman stepped inside, leaving a trail of frost in her wake. Her presence felt unnatural, her movements stiff, like a marionette controlled by an unseen force. She pointed toward the fireplace, and as I stammered, she repeated the same gesture. Hesitantly, I added more logs to the fire, the flames dancing in protest against the intrusion of the cold. The woman seemed to relax, her frozen features softening. With an expression of gratitude, she gestured for me to follow her outside. Against my better judgment, I bundled up and stepped into the blinding snowstorm. We traversed the desolate landscape, the wind biting through our clothes. I felt an inexplicable connection to the woman, as if some ethereal force guided our journey. We reached a clearing where the snow formed an untouched canvas, and she pointed to a spot in the snow. As I began to dig, the truth unfolded: a shallow grave beneath the snow, a makeshift tomb for the woman who had perished in the unforgiving storm. Her eyes, though lifeless, conveyed a story of desperation and tragedy. I realized that I had unwittingly invited a spirit into my cabin, a spirit seeking solace and acknowledgement for a death left unmarked. The storm had preserved her form, a haunting reminder of the unforgiving nature of winter. With a final glance, the woman dissipated into the snow-laden air, leaving me alone in the frozen landscape. The storm raged on, but the presence of the spectral visitor lingered, a testament to the unsettling encounters that can unfold in the heart of a snowstorm. Story 2. The Silent Blizzard. The mountain cabin was meant to be a haven, a place of solitude where I could escape the noise of the city. Little did I know that a winter storm would turn my retreat into a chilling ordeal that defied the boundaries of the natural world. The snowstorm arrived with an unexpected intensity, blanketing the landscape in a sea of white. The wind howled through the trees, creating an otherworldly symphony of creaking branches and distant echoes. I huddled inside the cabin, the walls quivering against the force of the storm. As the night fell, the power went out, plunging the cabin into darkness. I fumbled for candles, their flickering flames casting dancing shadows on the walls. The isolation felt profound, the only company the distant cries of the wind. It was in the midst of this silent chaos that I heard a soft whisper, barely audible above the storm's symphony. At first, I dismissed it as a trick of the wind, but the whispers persisted, growing louder and more distinct. I followed the sound, my flashlight cutting through the darkness. The whispers led me to the attic, a space I rarely ventured into. As I ascended the creaking staircase, the air grew colder, and a palpable tension hung in the stillness. In the attic, the whispers coalesced into words of lament, a story told in fragments. The voice spoke of a tragedy that had unfolded in the heart of a snowstorm, a life lost to the unforgiving embrace of winter. Drawn to a dusty trunk, I found a collection of old photographs and letters. The images portrayed a family, their smiles frozen in time. The letters revealed a tale of despair, a father lost in a blizzard while trying to find help for his ailing daughter. As I immersed myself in the tragic narrative, the temperature in the attic plummeted. I sensed a spectral presence, an entity bound to the cabin by the echoes of its own demise. The whispers grew frantic, the voice imploring for acknowledgement and closure. Compelled to offer solace, I spoke aloud, acknowledging the tragedy and expressing sympathy for the lost souls. The atmosphere in the attic shifted, and a sudden gust of wind extinguished the candles. In the darkness, I felt a fleeting touch, a cold caress that spoke of gratitude. The whispers dissipated, and the attic fell silent. The storm outside continued its relentless assault, but within the cabin, a sense of peace lingered. The spectral encounter had bridged the gap between the living and the dead, a reminder that the silent blizzards of winter could carry the weight of untold stories. As I ventured back into the night, the storm's fury unabated, I felt a strange connection to the unseen forces that dwelled within the snow-laden landscape. The mountain cabin, once a refuge, had become a nexus between the living and the spectral, a testament to the chilling mysteries that winter could conceal. Story 3, The Haunting on Frostbite Hill. The snowstorm hit with an unexpected fury, blanketing the small town in a thick layer of white. As the temperature plummeted, I found myself stranded in an old Victorian house on the outskirts, seeking refuge from the biting cold. Little did I know that this shelter would become the stage for a haunting that defied explanation. The house, perched on Frostbite Hill, had a reputation for being haunted. Local lore spoke of a family that had vanished during a particularly brutal snowstorm decades ago. The legend claimed that their anguished spirits still wandered the halls, forever trapped in the icy grip of winter. The first night was uneventful. I huddled by the fireplace, the flames casting flickering shadows on the antique furniture. The howling wind outside seemed to carry whispers of the past, but I dismissed them as the product of an overactive imagination. It was on the second night that the atmosphere changed. As I lay in bed, the air grew frigid, and I heard soft, mournful wails echoing through the corridors. I attributed it to the wind, trying to convince myself that the tales of the haunted house were mere superstitions. But then came the footsteps, a slow, deliberate pacing that seemed to approach my room. Fear clutched at my chest as the door creaked open, revealing a figure shrouded in frost. The specter, a woman in a tattered nightgown, stared at me with hollow eyes. She spoke, her voice a chilling whisper. "Help us," she pleaded, the words hanging in the frozen air. The apparition gestured toward the window, where the snowstorm raged outside. Driven by a strange compulsion, I ventured into the storm, following the ghostly woman. The wind howled, and the snow stung my face, but an unseen force guided me. We reached a clearing on Frostbite Hill, and there, buried beneath the snow, were the remains of a long-forgotten family. The woman's spirit pointed to the ground, and as I unearthed the skeletal remains, the wind carried away a haunting melody. It was a lullaby, a poignant reminder of the life that had been lost to the unforgiving winter. With the discovery, the atmosphere in the house shifted. The spectral figures vanished, leaving behind an eerie silence. The storm outside began to subside, and the temperature in the house returned to normal. As I sat by the fireplace, contemplating the events that had unfolded, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had played a part in bringing closure to the restless spirits. The legend of Frostbite Hill had become more than just a tale. It was a chilling encounter with the lingering souls of a family lost to the relentless snowstorm. Story 4, The Cabin in the Blizzard's Embrace. The mountain cabin, nestled in the heart of a snow-covered forest, was meant to be a secluded retreat, a place of solitude where one could escape the chaos of the world. Little did I know that the tranquility of the winter landscape would give way to a disturbing and inexplicable encounter. The snowstorm arrived with a vengeance, transforming the serene woods into a maze of swirling white. The cabin, with its smoke-churning chimney, became a beacon of warmth amid the frozen expanse. The first night was cozy, the crackling fire and the distant howls of the wind creating a symphony of winter. On the second night, however, the storm intensified, and an unnatural stillness settled over the cabin. The isolation, once comforting, now felt suffocating. As I lay in bed, the wind outside seemed to carry whispers, indistinct murmurs that danced on the edges of my consciousness. I dismissed the sounds as figments of an overactive imagination until the whispers coalesced into distinct words. A voice, soft and spectral, called my name. At first, I thought it was trick of the wind, but the voice persisted, growing louder and more insistent. Compelled to investigate, I ventured into the snow-covered woods. The whispers guided me through the labyrinth of trees, the cold biting through my clothes. The snowfall created an otherworldly silence, broken only by the haunting voice that led me deeper into the heart of the blizzard. Eventually, I reached a clearing, and there, half buried in the snow, was an abandoned cabin. The voice spoke again, this time with a sense of urgency. "Help me," it pleaded. I entered the dilapidated structure, the air inside frigid and thick with the weight of unseen sorrow. In a corner, barely visible beneath a tattered blanket of snow, I discovered an old journal. Its pages told a story of a hermit who had lived in the cabin, seeking solace in the embrace of the winter. As I read, the temperature in the cabin dropped, and the spectral voice grew more desperate. The hermit's spirit materialized before me, his form translucent and ethereal. He spoke of a tragic and a slow descent into madness as the snowstorm isolated him from the world. The ghostly figure gestured toward the window, where the blizzard raged on. With a heart-wrenching plea, he asked me to free him from the eternal winter that had claimed his soul. Driven by a mix of fear and compassion, I gathered the hermit's belongings and carried them outside. The storm's fury seemed to intensify as I placed the items in the snow. The voice, now a chorus of whispers, surrounded me. As I watched, the hermit's spirit dissipated, and the blizzard began to recede. The winds gradually calmed, and the snowfall lessened until the forest stood in a serene quietude. I returned to the cabin, the weight of the encounter settling on my shoulders. The journal, once a chronicle of solitude, had become a vessel for the hermit's restless spirit. The cabin, once abandoned, felt lighter, as if the storm had released its hold on the lost soul. As I left the mountain retreat, the winter landscape now tranquil, I couldn't shake the feeling that the blizzard had been more than a natural phenomenon. It had been a conduit for the voices of the forgotten, a bridge between the living and the spectral, a chilling reminder that even in the serenity of a snowstorm, unseen forces could beckon from the depths of the winter's embrace. If you liked the stories, then consider liking the video and subscribing my channel, as it would motivate me to make more videos for you guys, and thank you for watching this video.